So hi everyone, my name is Jim Griffin. My background is roughly 30 years in human capital management software, primarily around the roles of sales, where probably the first half of my career was focused upon, and then alliances. I think initially because I was the better glad hand on our team, but then alliances over the years have gotten very data driven. And as Sean mentioned in the opening talk, very strategic to organizations. In fact, in my experience and most of my clients' experiences, especially from the partner side of impact and reach, the promise of partnership has allowed really deals to close faster, to be bigger, and to elicit higher customer satisfaction than those without. I've also experienced, and I think there is tremendous data to support this, that when you properly partner, in fact, 10%, the top 10% of any sales organization, they will systematically almost always have the best partner attachment rates. What I mean by that is the best reps are working with partners more than anything else. So there's multiple types of partnering that we're going to talk about as we shift through. So I like to look at a data-driven representation of partnering because you cannot hit what you can't see. What I mean by that is if you don't know the metrics and you aren't tracking them in a transparent way with and through your partners in the form of a partner business plan, you're never going to reach the objectives that you're hoping to do. So why do we partner in the first place? So fundamentally, I think there are two primary reasons. First and foremost, and everybody's favorite, is revenue. So we want to get more, we want to grow faster, but it's also growth and scale. And this is when you start to build a partner ecosystem that is not only helping you to drive incremental revenue, they're helping you to deliver, especially in the software world that I live in. So let's look at the first one. So partner impact, when you look at revenue, it's a combination of accelerating the opportunities that are availed to you. It's getting a higher deal realization for each and every engagement, either from a tracking of an annual contract value. I'm in SaaS software, so we look at total contract value as well as annual contract value. So it should be faster. It should provide you some elements of client influence. It should provide, in many cases, introduction and access. So everybody's favorite impact from partnering is getting net new logos or opportunities to do business with companies. And finally, it can help you get through the procurement process much faster if they already know what are the keys to success in helping an organization buy. So the second side is scale. So it's an understanding of the domain and having an expertise at a global level that you're partnering with. This allows you to get there faster than you would without someone without that expertise. It's having some integration experience at data sources, thought leadership, the ability to have third-party advisory, consulting. This is critical for my type of business, for instance. So in human capital management, it is amongst one of the most disruptive implementations you can ever go through. And the impact and importance of partners in these types of engagements, it's not just change management, it's adoption and engagement of the folks that are going to be touching the software. And ultimately, I work with our partners to reverse engineer on an outcome basis. Now, what do I mean by that? You define what success is or what the stated outcome is, and then you ensure that you've got a plan that is data and metric driven, and you're checking that the entire way. Now, this is especially true in the implementation phase to ensure that the client is also doing all the right things and they have the requisite engagement for success. Now, what are the outcomes? Now, this is a representation that I've seen from Aberdeen. I've actually seen much higher numbers when I've done this with my partners. So I typically have three types of partners. I'll have advisory or GSIs, the global SI partners, such as the Accentures, the Deloittes, the PwCs, the Ernst and Youngs, et cetera. I will have the ISVs, or what I would call the product partners, When I was leading the global program at SAP, they call them Solex partners, solution extensions. But essentially, they help make your product either a little bit better through their adjacency or capability, or they're plugging some holes that maybe your product doesn't do today. Either way, it's an ISV, in my mind, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. Very often, it's in support of clients where they'll have multiple solutions, and there's workflow that designates a need to support each other for shared client success. So however you come together, the opportunity with ISVs is, once again, the sum of the parts type of equation. And then there is the reselling. It comes in two forms. Sometimes it's a referral partnership where you're working together in a co-sell motion, or it's a true resell or channel where they are reselling your solution on your behalf. And this is where it's most critical to nail that marketing function. So let's unpack this a little further. You have to have a strategic representation for what success looks like. Now, I map out everything from the entire partner strategy, organizationally from the bottom up, all the way to best practice and desired outcomes. What we're going to be talking about today is the green and the blue gear, the incentive and motivation element, and the revenue and go-to-market pivot. This is where you support your partners in a myriad of different ways. So some of the basic things many of us have done, I always put in a partner advisory council because those partners will get really close to clients and prospects, and they are keys to getting that next level of success for organizations and driving out a strategic partner program. And the marketing elements, there's the what's in it for me for the partner that drives them, right? You have to very much focus, I'll call a partner first strategy. So I'll give you an example. I'm in the software business. So when my partners win, I'm automatically winning because the software is going along for the ride. So when I create a partner success plan, that means that my company is automatically successful every time if I ensure that my focus is on my partner's success. And I break that down iteratively all the way into shared marketing programs and go to market. I'll explain that a little bit further. I'll also align it in a detailed success plan that is culminated in a shared business plan. So I break it into the sales motions, into the marketing motions, and then the operations motions. Those are the three commonalities that we will often see. And in many respects, they can be very similar to what you would do for a direct sales organization. But there are nuances that are unique to partners that you need to identify and ensure that everybody's aligned and everything's transparent. And you have to set them up for success. So that success plan means that you are enabling them in all facets. Now, I mentioned before that I will get very granular in my reverse engineer. It's a data-driven program. And this is where we get into we'll call it an MQL, right? A marketing qualified lead, but geared towards the partner program. I work with my partners at every company I've ever been to create a matrix like this. This is my what's in it for you, Mr. Partner page. So I'll break it down by how does a partner have revenue realization when they're in my program. Now it's in margin creation through a resell program. It's through implementation of the software or solution. And that is comprised of a combination of configuration, integration, et cetera. And this is where you can get some complexity drivers. And I mentioned before, this is a key: adoption, engagement, and advisory. It's that change management element that they can bring based on domain expertise, understanding of that organization already because they already had a pre-existing relationship. And then really critically post-go live support. And then I break it down into its constituent parts. Now, I like to produce a two-way success plan. So for sake of argument, if I'm hoping to drive $1 million of revenue in net new revenue software realization annually from a partner via us coming together for shared motivations. I need to make sure I understand what's in it for them when we realize those numbers. And I've built out an example today called the two-way success plan that breaks down all of the aforementioned ways that they can get remunerated in this plan through margin, delivery, advisory, and support. And then I break it down into how I think that's going to play. And we start tracking through the common elements of what a pipeline looks like. So ultimately, if I'm assuming a $150,000 average sale in software, that means we together need to close 7 deals. Well, in my experience, you need 4 times the number of qualified deals to hit one that closes on your desired timeline versus when a client wants to close. So if you have 4 to make one, I've almost never had a partner not realize their revenue expectations. Well, in order to hit the number of qualified opportunities, you need 3 to 4 times that in qualified leads. And then you need 3 to 4 times that in touches to switch them to confirmed qualified leads. So this is a partner funnel that you need to track. These are the data elements that become the basis of your world in working with partners. And you have a transparent mechanism in the form of a dashboard, ideally, that is shared with them in real time at any given moment, ideally through one of the best-in-class PRM systems, partner relationship managements, that have really gotten critically important and quite good in the space. So whether you have Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, there are so many good CRMs out there. That continues to be your source of truth, both for your direct sales and for indirect. But you apply these types of mechanisms and you track them all within your CRM so that there's visibility at any given time. That way, no one's surprised and you are on top of partner-led opportunities, and you drive marketing to fulfill this funnel. So in looking at that, one of the things that I'm creatively doing right now in presented partner programs, where I find most partners have great difficulty is in the business development element. Now, I happen to work in a very complex type of sale that also takes on average about 9 months from inception to client close and sign. So that complex sale is very difficult to standardly outsource the type of BD to drive the number of sales qualified leads to meet that funnel representation I showed a moment ago. So what I've been creatively doing and working with clients is taking a look at what is the cost of a fully loaded business development executive today. Roughly in the United States with benefits, it's around $100,000. So sounds like a lot of money. And that's one of the lower cost types of roles. But in my estimation, it is the most critical role because it makes the entire engine work. Either the partner has to have a dedicated BD staff that you are enabling so that they have all of the same assets and capabilities that you have internally, or, and this is another program that I'm starting to roll out, you can hire dedicated partner business development and share the load. If I look at that million pound, $1 million program, well, it takes about 28 marketing qualified leads to hit that program. Well, typically a BD is anywhere from 45 to 50 in their target aspirations annually for what their quota should be when they're doing their requisite role. So you can have one BDE shared across 2 partners and dedicate it and have a full tracking mechanism and outsource that and have a best-in-class BDE staff and partner success. That's just one of the many ways that you can be creative in driving these types of outcomes. And then you start to turn on your marketing engine and you co-market. Now, I do this in a number of ways. One of my favorite ways is to do workshops and campaigns. And you bring in all the different various and sundry capabilities that the marketing brings to the table, and you assist those partners in driving out these shared programs. Now, the one tenet of success in doing any of these is shared responsibility, whether it's virtual or on-site. I'm looking forward to having way more on-sites than we've had over the last 2 years to drive campaign outcome, which is in the form of leads, right? So they have to put, in old school terms, people in seats within whatever event, virtual or on-prem, on-site, to ensure that you've got campaign or program success. And you have to, at every stage of whatever the program happens to be, and there's so many creative ways to track it, it can all flow back to deal and opportunity recognition within the shared infrastructure that you've already put in place. So there are dozens of other ways to do this, and many others that I know that the experts on the phone are going to talk about as well. So I'll pause right here and just finalize that at the end of the day, within the business plan, you measure everything. That means you have a shared scorecard, and it goes full circle that you can't hit what you can't see. So the scorecard for shared success, we're required to make sure that we're enabling our partners to the best degree possible so that they are the requisite subject matter expertise. I learned something. I started my career in actually the hotel business, and the general manager I worked for said, "Jim, you never get a second chance for a first impression." And that is no more true anywhere than in the partnering world. So that impact, by best enabling them so that they can hit all of these best-in-class scorecard elements, is up to us to make sure that they're enabled and they have all the tools and capabilities that we would provide our direct sales organization.